Hi.
I'm so bad at this, so that's the problem. I'm like, I have no clue. I'm getting a ring light in my
I'm really sorry. Yeah, I'm
That's okay.
having technical issues with Zoom, so.
I know, and it's like I just learned Zoom, so it's
Yeah, it's not my favorite, but thank you so much for doing this, by the way.
Oh, sure. Of course. Well, thank you for having a fan page. I'm impressed.
I kind of thought you would hate it.
Why?
Or think it, because I don't know, just maybe that you thought it was really weird that someone would have a fan page dedicated to you. I don't know. It just,
I don't think it's, I mean, it's flattering, and it's not weird. It's just, I'm honored and flattered, and I'm like, really? You don't have anything else to do with your time? Come on. It's great.
Yeah, I need something to do during this pandemic because
oh my God, yeah.
Just now going back to work. So,
what do you do?
I teach special education.
Yeah.
So.
It's like you're trying to set it up so that you have some decent light and some makeup and like this angle. I'm like, okay, I should hold it up here, but then it's boring.
Yeah, I feel like I'm like trying to hide myself because I hate my appearance. But
no. Enjoy it, because trust me, 5 years from now you'll look back and go, dang, I look good.
I would love that, but
you will.
It's not getting any better for me.
Oh.
First off, like I said, thank you for doing this and not finding it completely creepy. Wasn't my intent. I was leery to reach out in general just because I wanted to respect your privacy, but you've literally been on the top of people, like the list of people I want to meet. I go to conventions a lot, and I've followed your work since I was like 5. So, well, I first saw you in Diagnosis Murder, and because I watched it with my grandparents.
Yes.
And then one of my favorite movies was Rumpelstiltskin. So, yeah, I know.
I just
and then Passion.
Like on one of the streaming things, there's Leprechaun, and I turned to Robert and I go, but they never have Rumpelstiltskin.
I have it on VHS and DVD, so yeah. My children have seen it, so I'm probably not a good parent for that, but anyway.
It wasn't too bad.
Well, kind of just basic questions I wanted to ask you because I didn't actually think you would say yes to this. So, what you've been doing in your spare time with this lockdown going on, I assume it's more harsh for you all than it is for me right now.
LA's pretty rough. Yeah. We're in Los Angeles, and it's been pretty like Orange County, which is south of us, and San Diego's opened up more, but Los Angeles has been pretty strict. We've just been trying to abide by the guidelines, wearing masks, washing our hands, not staying out of crowds, doing the best we can do. It's affected Robert more than me, obviously, because he's a casting director. So they haven't been nobody's been doing in-person auditions. Everything's now over Zoom or whatever.
Yeah, which I hate.
Well, it's kind of, there's the good and the bad. The good is you can, as an actor, you can do more than one take. You can do several takes and pick out your best. What's bad is I think I booked a lot of jobs because I was very good in the room. I would talk to people, and I could make a connection with the director and the producer, and I think that's the reason I got a lot of jobs. When it's just you for 30 seconds on a tape, it's really hard to make.
I would assume so. I don't like the technical side. Like right now, my Zoom's not working. Did you pick up anything during the lockdown?
You know what I've done during the lockdown? I actually had a hip replacement.
Oh my goodness.
That was my exciting activity. I had been in pain for a couple of years now, and right before we went into true lockdown in March, I'd gone to see a doctor, and I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm in pain all the time. I can't walk. And then everything got locked down, so I had to live with it for a while. But then as of September, I had my left hip replaced. So
how's the recovery going?
It's been really good, actually. I was surprised. I was very nervous, obviously, as anyone is with surgery, but really good doctor. I was in just one night, out the next day, home recovering. My family, my daughter is here. She didn't go back to school this semester because of COVID. And so it was great because she could help me, and my husband was helping me. And, it was mostly just the dogs, trying to take care of my dogs and stuff like that. So it was great having them here to help me. So actually, so it's, I'm walking without assistance. And the only thing I noticed is I don't have a lot of energy right now. I'm a little tired all the time, but I think that also is just COVID and elections. And
Yeah.
I think we're all just a little tired right now.
Yeah, I'm just kind of ready for things to get back to normal.
Back to some semblance of something that's normal. Yeah, we're all
Yeah.
just tired. And so that's actually what I've been doing. Yeah, pretty much it. Trying to, we started out well. We were going through a lot of papers. We went through stuff. And then I realized, like, we were going to clean out our garage, and I realized I had no place to donate anything because nobody was taking anything. So I was like, it just sits here in a pile. So that kind of put the damper on that. I was like, okay, might as well wait now. So we've just been, just doing what everybody's doing, just day to day, getting by, watching a lot of TV.
So are things open for you all, like stores? Can you go in stores and restaurants there? Or
grocery stores are open. Restaurants, if you eat outside, you can't eat inside. They have to be an outdoor cafe, which in LA works a lot like the city we live in. One of the main streets that has a lot of restaurants is just kind of blocked off part of the road and put tables in the road with little umbrellas. So people are making it work. But, a lot of restaurants have closed too. It's been bad. But you can eat, you can go out to eat, you can obviously Postmate, order in, that kind of thing. And grocery stores are open. I think nail salons just opened back up. My hair salon, thank you. I went yesterday. They're back open at 25%, so that not all the hairdressers can be in there at once. And so they all have to kind of take turns as who's working when. And they take your temperature before you go into a restaurant, or I go to physical therapy. Before I do any of that, they take your temperature and you have to wear a mask. So, yeah.
Besides your hip replacement, I'm assuming there's no other current projects, any maybe movies or TV shows you're thinking about being on again, or have you passed that time in your life?
Being on a lot of them, but
well, I didn't know if maybe you were thinking more retirement now and just chilling, resting with your family.
Robert keeps saying you're not going to retire, and I'm like, I think I kind of am. I'm kind of just tired of. Before I was getting tired of just going on the auditions because at my age, my advanced age,
oh my goodness,
the parts are usually for a day guest star, one day here, one day there or something. And I'm used to in the past in my career having good parts, on a TV show, I'd have a whole week of work. So it's hard to go in and go, okay, I'll do a couple lines. It's nothing wrong with there's people people need to do it. It's just at this point in my career, I'm like, I don't know that I really care about doing that.
Do you find that they give you certain roles because of your age, or no? Have you had that issue?
Oh, yeah. Yes. And you kind of get lumped in because it's anywhere between 60 and 80. It's like, an older woman. So you walk in and there's like women who are a little younger, women who are a lot older, and you're kind of going, okay, I'm really confused about what you're looking for here, and they don't know.
Well, you're one of the lucky ones who apparently don't age because you look the exact same as when I first saw you on TV. Kind of makes me jealous, but what? You hear anything thumping? I have children that are being feral at the moment.
How old are your kids?
They are 5, and they're driving me nuts.
Twins?
So, yes, ma'am.
Wow. Well, they're just good and bad. I mean, it's hard in the moment, but they have each other for always, which is nice. And then, but when they leave the house,
it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be when I first had them. Yeah. But I definitely feel my age now, and they tire me out.
Yes, I get that. What else can I tell you about? I'm still in touch with Andrea, who played on Passions.
Oh my gosh,
Rebecca, yeah. So I just called her the other day, and Dana I still talk to quite a bit, and James and I will Facebook highs and keep up with each right now because nobody can get together at all. We all are kind of just Facebooking each other and texting each other and saying hi.
Let's see, what else can I ask you since I have you here? I'm still so excited. I'm gonna stumble over my words. Like, you
Don't
do
worry
not
about
understand how starstruck I am. Completely
it.
starstruck. Like, I have told everybody that I know because
I don't remember. Passions
no.
was one of the most fun jobs I ever had. I mean, I had some good jobs, but Passions, it was just a great group of people. It was close to where I live. It was, easy. The hours weren't easy, especially in the beginning. The hours were long, but they, it was, it wasn't like you were going off on a movie set and gone for months. It was in town. I could work in town. My kids were little, so that was nice. You had a dressing room. It was just great. And the people were great. And then we got to do all these just ridiculous, fun, crazy things, which you don't often get to go to hell in a wheelchair. So,
It's definitely one of the craziest soap operas I've ever watched. I think that's kind of why it drew me in.
We kept reading it going, we're doing what? How are we doing that?
I loved it. I had to actually beg my family to let me watch it. They're like, I don't think you should be watching this. I'm thinking, like, you're a little young. Let's watch something else. I'm like, I'm watching Rumpelstiltskin, Freddy Krueger. I like weird stuff, so it's right up my alley. But I was just, they were like, this is.
Well, it was definitely. I'm a sci-fi junkie too. I love sci-fi and not horror so much, but I do enjoy it. But fantasy, sci-fi kind of stuff. So for me, it was so fun. I loved it. We had the best time.
I think since you love sci-fi, you should go to sci-fi conventions and be a guest.
There's actually a guy who does conventions, and he's an agent kind of person. He's been trying to get me on a couple, like Supernatural, because I did 3 episodes of Supernatural, but it wasn't.
Oh, believe me, I know. We watched them on repeat.
And it wasn't a really big, and he keeps going, no, they don't want you because wasn't a big enough role. I'm like, dang. Yeah, and I knew the producer on that really well. I auditioned for him years before for a show, and he always teased me. He goes, I should have hired you for that other show. And I was like, yeah, you should have, So when I was doing the Supernatural, I'm like, come on, give me a couple more episodes. I need a few more, but that was a fun show. That's a good. My husband actually is the casting director on that show and has been for the.
I loved the character. Dr. Viziak was amazing. Yeah. She definitely did not get a long enough run. And I'm pretty sure I have my son obsessed with you now because of Supernatural. He shouldn't be watching it, but he does. But anytime you come on the screen, he will stop what he's doing and just stand there. And I'm like, can you move? I want to see it too, And he thinks you're pretty.
Oh.
I was like, but I loved Supernatural. I've loved pretty much anything you've done. Renegade. I loved Renegade.
Oh my God. Renegade. Oh.
Murder, She Wrote was one of my favorites.
I did. I think I always have to ask for. I can't even remember. I did because I did like 2 or 3 of each of those. Diagnosis Murder, She Wrote, Perry Mason. I did several of them because it was back in the day, and they would just reuse people that they liked.
Yeah.
Hire you again for another part. I'm like, okay. The producers were great, and so I did all of those. I kind of get them all confused. I'm like, what was I doing during that? I couldn't.
Yeah, I love them. Diagnosis Murder, especially because that was my go-to show with my grandparents.
Yeah.
So I'm like, she just kind of keeps popping up with different colored hair.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, is that the same person? Oh my gosh, it's her. Like, she looks gorgeous either way. I'm jealous, but I love that. Murder, She Wrote too. The episode with Ben Masters.
That cracked me up because I didn't remember that I'd worked with him. When you put that up, I went, I worked with Ben before the show. I don't think either one of us remembered because we never mentioned it to each other that I can recall that we were talking about. Hey, remember when we did Murder? I don't think we did. I don't think I realized it.
The first time I saw you two on Passions, that was the first thing I said. I was like, oh my goodness, they were on Murder, She Wrote together. And no one believed me. And I'm like, no, they really were. Serious. And even when I posted that, I had people messaging like, is that a man-up? Did you put that together? I'm like, no, it really is an episode, y'all. And so I was like, I'll have to find the clips and put it on there because, of course, I have the whole set. So why not do that?
That's hysterical. And like I said, Robert too, and Robert remembers my career better than I do. He really does. Everything I did. And he was like, I forgot that you guys, and he was asking her, he's like, I forgot you guys did that. Like, I have no clue.
Yeah, I've been going through my collection.
Like in one of them, I kissed Bryan Cranston. I remember that. You know, I have all these shows where I'm like, oh yeah, I worked with him or her, or I worked with them. It's like you kind of forget.
I have a question. I know you started modeling when you were younger to begin with, before you got into acting, and then there was some theater in between and all that. Which did you like better? Did you like modeling better? Was acting just your forte? What kind of led you from that jump?
Honestly, this is terrible to say. I loved acting more, for sure. No, it was definitely, modeling was just, I honestly fell into all of it. I met my husband in college, and he'd always wanted to be an actor. That was his thing. He was in theater and he did all the stuff, and he wanted to be an actor. So he'd gone to New York, and then we got married and I moved to New York with him. And at that time, he'd already gotten an agent and a modeling agent, even though he was not. He's only 5'10", but he had a modeling agent. And it was a really small agency. It wasn't a big agency or anything. And so they took me on. They said, oh yeah, we'll represent you. I just, this little fresh face, like walking in dresses, like cute little dresses for my interviews. It was ridiculous. So they started sending me out on modeling calls, and I started working. And I'm only 5. I lied and said I was 5'7". I'm actually 5'6¾". But Ford measured me and I was 5. He said, oh, you're 5'7". I'm like, oh, okay. So I started just going out, and then his theatrical agent started repping me too, and I started taking acting classes in New York. I'd done just a little bit of theater in college, not much. I really was not I was intending to go into makeup. Like, I thought I'd be a makeup artist. That's what I really thought I was going to do. So yeah, I just started going out and booking things, and then I booked a commercial, a close-up toothpaste commercial, and that's how I got my SAG card in New York, by doing a commercial. And then I booked a couple things. Then I booked As the World Turns in New York.
Yes, Diana.
And I did that. That was I booked that in '83 because we were there. We moved there in '81, so I booked that. So we did 2 years on that,
which was amazing. I've seen every episode.
It was great. It was so fun. I look back on myself, especially when I started, and I was so green. I was so terrible. I'm quite sure they thought we were going to fire her immediately. Like, I couldn't hit a mark. I didn't know what the mark was. I didn't know to stand into the mic. I was like, oh, okay. It was terrible. But anyway, I learned a lot on As the World Turns. That was a great college of acting for me. I learned a lot, worked with a lot of really, really talented, good people. And so that's really what transitioned. I was just doing modeling kind of because it was there, and I could make some money doing it. And, not a lot, but I did a lot of catalog modeling, a lot of print work.
I have found some very interesting photos.
There's some very strange ones out there.
There are some. I found one this morning. I was like, what? I don't know the story behind this, and I don't know about.
Am I leaning over a TV set?
No, not that one. It's a Playboy picture.
For the Playboy channel.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm leaning over a TV set, I think.
Are you on the TV? I didn't pay attention. I was just kind of, I was like, I'm going to keep scrolling. Yeah.
Out to
kind of 80s-esque type thing.
No, I actually, that one was funny. I went on a go-see. They booked me. It was with a really, really big photographer at the time. I can't remember his name, but he was a big deal photographer. And they didn't tell me what it was for. And they just put me in this lingerie and did the hair and makeup and did it all. And I went, okay, because I did a lot of lingerie modeling. And and they said, okay, lean over. And I was leaning over the TV and, acting all sexy. Had no idea what it was for. And then we're from Northern California, a small town called Modesto. It's not that small, but a town called Modesto, California. And we were up visiting Robert's family, and a friend calls me and goes, oh my gosh, they're protesting Kim at the county fair, because the Playboy channel had just started, was just starting. and they were advertising it, and I was the advertisement. That was my picture, and in the preview was the Playboy logo. Well, they didn't tell me that. I didn't know. You sign a waiver, they can use the picture for whatever they want. You know, it was a big photographer. I look good. I was like, okay.
It is it's a good picture. It's just, it just caught me off guard.
When I saw it, I went, you guys altered that picture. Those are not my breasts. Those are not my. And they went, no, they are. I'm like, oh my gosh. I thought they had touched up the photo because I was like, I'm not that big. That is not true. So the whole town was protesting the lewd and lascivious Playboy channel, and I was the picture for it.
Sorry to bring that up.
No, it's fine. We laugh. It was funny. I think I went to the photographer and he actually gave me a poster of it. He goes, oh, here. And he had a whole big poster of it. He gave it to me. I was like, okay.
Yeah. I was searching for modeling photos because I don't think a lot of people know that part of your career. Like, I actually have a picture frame somewhere that I believe has you as the stock photo, and maybe Robert.
Yeah, probably.
Yes.
Robert. It's probably Robert and I. We did a
kind of in the park. Yes.
Yeah, bright colors, and I'm playing with his sweatshirt or something. We did a whole thing with a photographer one day just for that. It was just to take pictures in Central Park and around, and then
my grandparents never got rid of anything, so it was still in the frame behind a photo that I was cleaning out my house and getting rid of photos, and I found it, and I'm like, why did you keep this? Like, well, they're a cute couple, and I was like, okay, throw it to the side. And then I found it recently, and I'm like, this looks familiar. I think I've seen this online, so I had to do my research.
No, I did. Robert and I did that when he was modeling. And I did a bunch of those. I did a lot for Sears and Penny's. A lot of, literally, you wouldn't know it was me because half the time it was just my bottom half, like underwear or bra.
I've seen a couple corset photos.
That was for a company called Porrette. And I modeled live for them, and I also did their catalog. And I actually met one of my best friends working there. She was also a live model, and we started talking in the room together, and we had all this stuff in common. And it turned out she was trying to audition for an acting coach that Robert wanted to audition for. And I was like, you should go, and you and Robert should audition together. So the next thing I know, they're rolling around in a bed doing a scene together. But she's still best friends.
Have you ever had to audition in front of Robert? And is it weird? Like, how do you separate the fact that that's your husband?
I have auditioned for Robert. Actually, what's funny is it's easier. I don't have a problem auditioning for Robert. I really don't. I have a much harder time auditioning for his two partners, Eric and Carol, when they have me in for something. I have a really hard time auditioning, especially with Eric. And I don't know what it is. With Robert, I think we've just been doing it, helping each other for so long. He's run lines with me and done scenes with me for so long that isn't really an issue. When I go in with him, it's comfortable. But the other two, I have a really hard time. I get really self-conscious.
So how do you handle being you, like being famous? Do people still recognize you when you're out? Does it bother you? Is like invasion of privacy?
Thankfully, I guess I was never that famous that it became an issue. I have a couple friends who were on shows that were, one was on Star Trek, and it was much harder for her, so they literally moved to a gated community because she just got nervous. It was never that big of an issue. Although when Passions first started, there was a big mall near where we lived, and I used to take Cooper, we'd be walking around the mall. And when it first started, it took off, and I would get asked, we'd be walking, and every other person or every fifth person would be like, oh my God, are you, on Passions and da-da-da-da. To the point where Cooper, as a 6 or 7-year-old, would be like, oh, yes, she's Ivy. He would just get all flustered. He's like, yes, she's Ivy Crane. It was no big deal. He was like, come on, can we just hurry up and finish shopping? So, but that was never a big problem. Yes, I've had people come up and talk, but they've always been very polite, and it's never been I've never been such a big star that it was an intrusion in my, life. I'm sure there are people who, Julia Roberts or whatever would be very difficult to be because,
Yeah.
The amount of people
Awesome.
it would be kind of overwhelming. Had from Dallas, I was like, whoa, I haven't seen that one forever. The black and white bathing suit, the black and white bathing suit, blue dress.
Yes.
Right. And what's there's a funny story about, oh shoot, my mind's going to go blank. No, I got it now. So the blue dress, I think it was that dress. Larry Hagman was lovely. I mean, he was funny. He was just an old geezer, but he had a reputation. He was very nice, but he's like, that dress, that looks great. You should keep it. I'm going to give it to you. Take that dress. You take that dress with you. And the producers are like, you can't take the dress. But Larry would just give stuff away to everybody. He'd be like, you should take that. I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. I know.
I loved you in Dallas as well.
That was
Spellcaster is my go-to when I'm bored. I do watch Spellcaster more than I need to admit, just because I love it. It's hilarious. Gail O'Grady plus you, but
oh my gosh, that movie, actually, I just heard from Richard Blade, who's in the movie, who said he was being interviewed for it. I guess they're going to do a re-release of it sometime soon, I think.
Ooh.
He said in October, I assumed around Halloween, and they were interviewing him for it. And he was like, do you would you be interested? No, it was terrible. No, it was a terrible movie. So
it's interesting, but it's still hilarious.
The director was crazy. He literally didn't shoot enough to make a movie. There wasn't just enough shots to put the movie together at one point. We shot in a castle, and I had gone to the bathroom, which you had to go way up at the top of the castle. And they were shooting a scene, and they couldn't find me because I was up going bathroom. And he was just going to shoot the scene without me. He's like, oh, well, it's fine. She's not in this one. He didn't care. It was so wackadoodle. It was fun because it was Italy. We had a great time. It was in Italy, but yeah, Gail O'Grady was in it.
Yeah, I love that. You in the dining area when what is his name turns into a pig while you're talking to him.
Yes,
it's like what? Where did this come from? But I still love it.
Well, and there's the guy when he's pushing me, trying to find the check, and he had that heavy accent, and what?
Yes,
pushing me up against the glass, and this was in a real old castle. It was a real castle that Charles Band, I think, had purchased. So he owned it to shoot in because he did a lot of horror films. So he was shooting it. But the kid pushed me. And usually you do a fake push when you're shooting something. And he kind of really pushed me and my head went back and the glass broke. All this glass, it was old, like old glass came crumbling down and the set just went, don't move. And I'm like, I'm not moving, because I was so afraid it's like going to get cut. It was stupid. It was like, idiot, you don't push somebody like that when you're up against a glass.
Is there any movie or show that you look back on and just think, why? Why did I do this? What was I thinking?
Spellcaster.
Spellcaster? Even over Blood Ties? Blood Ties was kind of out there too.
Oh, but Blood Ties wasn't a movie.
I liked it.
It was a pilot for a series.
Yeah.
So, I was hoping Blood Ties would go. That was one that I was like praying would go because I love vampires. I love all that kind of stuff. And I was, one of the leads and I was like, yes, please. But, no, I like Blood Ties was fun doing. Hard and crazy, but fun. Yeah, there was some weird stuff in it. Blood Ties had some weird stuff too, but no, that one at least made kind of sense.
Yeah, Spellcaster didn't, but it was still good either way. I have a lot of good movies.
Well, I think so you can get a new copy.
That would be amazing, but I've got to stop myself from buying stuff.
Yeah.
My shelf is going crazy. Plus, this pandemic has made me Amazon. I don't know what happened, but I've shopped way too much.
Oh,
these
well,
past
yes, what I've
5
been
months.
doing. My daughter was teasing me going, Kim, or Mom, you have to stop buying things on it. Like Amazon has not Amazon, Facebook has become just ads. My Facebook is nothing
Yes.
but ads.
Yes, and it's literally like stalking me. I'll mention something and I will see a Facebook ad and I'm like, it knows. I
It
need to get it. It's a
knows.
sign.
And I have fallen into a couple of pits of, like, there's a woman named Trini London who does makeup. And I was like watching her going, I just want to put my makeup on with my finger. That looks fun. Like she just dabs it in a pot and puts it on. I'm like,
I've been
I
watching
want to do that.
the girl that does the spooky makeup. She tells the stories while
I
she's
love
doing the
her.
makeup.
I love her.
But I want to learn to, like, I don't wear makeup and I haven't worn makeup since I think junior year in high school. So I tell myself before I hit 40, I'm going to start wearing makeup. So
Yeah.
I've been watching videos on it and I don't know what I'm doing or I haven't learned anything, but I'm fascinated by it because people can do things that I don't even know how are possible. But
She's really good. I like her. Yeah, I've fallen into her, and I've been doing way too much shopping for things. I buy things and I'll be like, something will come and I'm like, I don't know what this is. When did I buy this? Late night. I blame everything. I was blaming everything on my pain med when they give you some pain medicine when you do a hip replacement. So you take the Percocet and I'm like, I must have been Percocet shopping because I don't remember when I bought it.
I definitely have no excuse. If it's anything pertaining to my kids, I buy it and I don't think about it. Like, yes, one needs to be a mermaid.
Oh
This is
yeah.
normal.
Well,
It
my
works.
favorite, let's see if this works. My favorite, absolute favorite thing I ever did. Try my phone just said this way. No, the phone just it said a low battery, so I had to plug it in. Was Highlander. That was the most
Kieran, yes.
the most fun I've
I love
had
it.
on a show was Highlander for sure. First of all, it was Paris. So, how can you go
I
wrong
love
with
Paris.
Paris, even though it was the winter and everybody, I liked the show and I liked the concept and I got
I
to
had a
fight.
major crush on him.
Oh, everybody did. My sister had a major crush on him. And he was actually very sweet. He was very nice when I worked with him. But I got to fight and it was just everything I'd wanted to do in a show. So that was, and accent, it was
your accent was really, 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 really good.
so hard.
It wasn't a movie, it was a show, Reasonable Doubts. I almost forgot about that one.
Reasonable Doubts
Yes.
well, there's a good story about Reasonable Doubts too, because I had worked, that was the same producer that did Supernatural later, and he did Reasonable Doubts, and then he did the first one and I did a two-parter. Oh shoot. Took place in San Francisco, and it was, I'll come up with it later. Anyway, that was the show. The first show in San Francisco is the one I went to. It's called Going to Network, where it was between myself and another woman to get the lead, and I didn't get it. So then when he hired me, I did Reasonable Doubts, 2 episodes, with Mark Harmon, right? That's the one we're talking about.
Yeah.
Career better than so Mark and I went in to do 1 episode, and then they came to me and went, oh, this, Kim, we've decided it was great, and we want to make you a series regular. And I was like, that's amazing. I am 4 months pregnant. I was 4 months pregnant. Like, well, 3.5. Like 3.5 months. I'm kind of pregnant, but I'd love to do it. And they're like, yeah, it's not going to work. So I did the 8 episodes, and they had to write me out because if you notice the last episode, I'm in very baggy sweaters and extremely pregnant. So that was a drag. I'm like, I look at my son all the time. I'm like, it's your fault. I didn't have a series on that show.
Can always blame the kids. That's what I do at least.
Yeah, yes. And I also did an episode of Sisters right before that, which was, it was just 1 episode, but it was, I played the doctor on it was a plastic surgeon, and I had been one of his patients he was having an affair with. He created this, perfect person. It was supposed to be me. And again, they put me in lingerie, and I was 3 months pregnant. And I don't know about you, but I didn't really show anywhere except, again, my chest expanded when I was pregnant.
I didn't have that luxury.
Oh, I
My
was.
chest didn't go anywhere, but
So Reasonable Doubts was fun, and Mark Harmon was great, but it was doing all those scenes I was pregnant. So it was kind of weird.
what about Nightingales? How was filming Nightingales? Suzanne Plachette, I loved
Oh,
her. The Birds.
she was amazing. She really was a lovely, lovely woman, and we actually stayed in contact until she passed away. We'd send Christmas cards, and she was so sweet and professional, but very, very much the movie star. I remember we'd go to lunch, and her tray would be real silverware and real flatware and real napkins, and she didn't need plastic like the rest of us. That was funny. And she also, they lit her beautifully, but lit her a lot. She was, I don't know how old she was at the time, in her mid-50s, 60 something. She wasn't that old, but they lit her to the point where none of us could get anywhere near her light because we would fade away. Like, she had so much light that if we got into it, we didn't have enough makeup to make it stand out. And any of the young girls would just kind of disappear if we got in Suzanne's light. But she was great. And I still, two of my best friends were Susan Walters and Roxanne from Nightingales.
So I've kind of noticed a lot of your roles, you are the woman that either is a homewrecker or that someone is going to have an affair with, or a lot of times maybe just the villain.
No, I always, I play a great bitch. I always did. It's very I don't know why. I'm like, I think I'm a really nice person, but it was very easy for me to play a bad person or a murderer. I have no quality. Like, so he's like, that's really easy for me.
Yeah, you do play the roles really. Like, I loved Ivy, just loved everything about her, but literally half the time I was thinking, that bitch. That is literally what would come to mind. I'm like, I love her though, but oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But as I watched like interviews with you, I'm like, she's not anything like Ivy. It doesn't seem like you are that in person.
I was never anything like Ivy. Except that I loved my kids. That's it. I love my kids. Other than that, my only claim to being anything like her. But what's funny about that too, when I went brunette right after Cooper was born, well, not right after, I think he was almost 2. That's when I went brunette. I was tired of being a blonde, and I thought, I'll just try this. And I suddenly I was playing a lawyer and a mom and all these other roles that were nice, that weren't the bitch and weren't the other woman. I was like, that's interesting. I'm a brunette, so now I'm nice or intelligent or educated. So, yeah. And then I went back blonde and got Ivy.
Yes, which I think I'm out of questions. Oh, I did have one more question about a movie that I've been obsessed with and I've just recently found again, Dazzle. Do you remember anything about filming that one?
Yeah. Well, Cooper was 18 months old. I think he was about 18 months old, and a lot of it shot out of town, so I was leaving and having to leave him and go up and shoot in Santa Barbara. And I'm trying to think. It was fun. It was fun. The being out in Santa Barbara everybody was nice on the show. What's her name from Designing Women?
Dixie Carter.
Dixie Carter, thank you. Was lovely, lovely. But she had been friends with Roxanne's first husband. She was like, I don't know why. He left her. She left him. And I'm like, well, he shouldn't have. Because I was friends with Roxanne at the time, because that was after Nightingales. So Dazzle was fun. Yeah, I enjoyed that. It was fun. That was a fun shoot, kind of all over we shot in Santa Monica. We shot up in Santa Barbara. Kind of shot all over the place.
If you had the opportunity, would you do another soap opera?
Yeah, yes, I would. I mean, there's only 3 left, unfortunately.
Yeah, they're kind of dwindling.
A couple, I guess the Bay has been doing pretty well. I think that's Jade Harlow's doing that, and Andrea's done some on it.
I'm assuming with the hip replacement, no action movies.
Not for a little while. Yeah, I'm not going to be doing anything. Not going to be doing anything action for a while.
Have you ever been interested in like comedic roles, like
yes,
comedy?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've done several.
Yeah,
I did a lot. I did quite a few half hours and a couple where I was supposed to, again, one where I was My Two Dads. I was supposed to be a series regular, but then it was at the end of the season and they came back and they changed it all, so I wasn't. I did an episode of Cheers. I did an episode of
yeah.
Wings.
I like
Was
Cheers.
fun. Yeah.
Third Rock from the Sun, that one was hilarious. I love
that. Was fun. I did a couple of those. Yeah, no, I love doing comedy. I think one of the reasons I was a very successful bad person is I think I usually found a way to make them kind of funny and or likable. You know, like I think I brought a lot of humor to whatever I do.
Yeah, I liked every character that you've been, but it's just sometimes I really was just I would yell at the TV like, "Oh my gosh, why do I like this person so much?" But I can't look away. It's just you have the look like you might be kind of intimidating, but you're not. Thank you so much for doing this again, by the way. I'm literally just starstruck.
Oh no, anything.
I was so scared to even message
oh.
or DM. Like, what if she yells at me?
Oh,
and then when you called the other night, I might have had quite a bit of wine. Yeah, I'd had some wine because I didn't want to admit that I was in my 30s and here. So, but I couldn't even form a coherent sentence. I was just like,
you have to just enjoy where you're at and trust me on this, that it really, you will look back. I mean, I look back on all of those and I think there's so many times, specifically on Nightingales, where I had to do a scene and I had to jump into a pool and swim across the pool. And I'm like, I'm 30. I am not wearing a bikini and blah, blah, blah. I mean, I wouldn't do it. It's like, I can't wear a bikini. And I look back on it now, I'm like, you idiot. Why the heck didn't you just wear a bikini? You look great. But at the time, I thought I looked terrible. And now with hindsight, you know, now with my age comes perspective. And I'm like, no, I looked good. I should have been running around naked all the time. And I wasn't. You will look back and realize you look beautiful. You look gorgeous. So,
well, thank you. That's very flattering.
No, you look gorgeous.
I'm gonna blush.
Watch Trini London. She's putting her makeup on.
I'm gonna figure this out. I want to, like, before 40, I'm gonna hit the scene and be just amazing. Maybe.
Well, as soon as the pandemic's over, there's always, you know, all the stores you can go in and have your makeup done, and they should.
Ours are actually open already for all that.
Oh, okay. So
yeah, everything is pretty much open here. We've been back in school since August.
Wow.
So
wow. Yeah, schools aren't open here. Nobody's in school still.
The governor suggested that we not go back, and we decided that we were. So we are in school and have been since August, and it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Good. It's good you have a job. It's good you're working. That part of it is.
I'm glad. I loved being home those 5 months because school ended in March, but I've realized I can't be a stay-at-home mom ever.
No.
I love my kids, but
yeah, no.
I'm not cut out for it.
I never could either.
I can't be a housewife. Like, I like to cook, but not every day. I don't need it. I don't like to clean every day. I don't like this. I want to be working and going somewhere and doing stuff and that type of thing.
Yes. Well, I have to say, you know, I've had a blessed life. I have gotten to do so many things I never, growing up in a really small town. I'm from a really tiny town. It was 2,000 people when I was growing up. I've gotten to do things I never, ever would have in my wildest dreams thought I would get to do, and traveled to countries and places I never thought I would get to go to. So, you know, I've had fun. It's been great. I've enjoyed every minute of it. And it's fun to have, I loved looking on the fan page and going, where does she get these pictures? I don't even have these pictures.
I'm just glad you're flattered by it and not completely creeped out. Because like I said, I still have a big collection to go through. Plus, I plan on putting Rumpelstiltskin up there. A lot of people have asked for that one specifically, so I don't think.
I was always mad it never took off like a Leprechaun. Same director.
I never liked Leprechaun at all. Like, I've watched them, but I'm not really a fan of it.
It's the same.
But Rumpelstiltskin was my go-to.
Yeah.
He was just creepy and kind of reminded me of one of my teachers. So, you know, it's kind of one of it. But anyway, I've taken up enough of your time. And I thank you. And if you're up for it, when the blog hits a certain amount of followers, I would love to do it again with other cast members. Some and some other shows. I still have some connections with some of my geeky people. So,
well, we're very the Passions. Actually, we were an unusually tight group of people. In fact, when they did I've lost track of time. A couple of years ago, they had a fan convention here, and afterwards, all the cast came over here to my house, and we had.
I was so sad that I missed out on FanFest. I missed this. Like, this might be my only chance to meet Kim Ulrich, and they were like, I live in Kentucky, though. There's nothing to do here. You have to travel. It is boring. Very, very boring. But anyway, I will let you go, and thank you so much for doing this, and hopefully one day we can do it again with more cast members once the fan page takes off, because lately we've gained a lot of followers.
Oh, good. Yeah. Like I said, we were very close, and I know, James, Andrea, and all of them would do it, so it's not an issue.
Awesome. Well, you have a lovely night, and I hope your recovery goes smoothly. The rest of it, at least.
It is. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Bye, babe.
Bye.